Hey, this is Cameron. Welcome back to the Busy Gardener channel. Today we are going to talk about what somebody needs when they're first getting into planting their first tree. Give you maybe some gift ideas. Let's get busy. When you look at my channel, you think, man, this guy has so many trees. I bet he needs all sorts of gear to get that stuff taken care of. You know, we've got I think I counted 69 fruit trees and then another 11 fruiting vines and bushes and things like that. Hard to imagine. Well, it turns out that whether you've got one tree growing or 80 trees, you need the same kinds of tools to take care of those things. So you get an apple tree and you think, oh, I'm gonna plant this fruit tree, and then you get it and you realize you don't know quite what to do with it. How am I supposed to take care of this thing? What do I need in order to take care of it? We'll talk through some of that stuff. You'll be all right. I wanna talk through a few things that I think would be really helpful, beneficial for the first time orchardist, first time fruit tree planter. What do you call that? I don't know. First time you're trying to grow something? Hey, I wanted to share this with you. This is something I'm excited about. You see, does that show up the right way? May God have mercy on your soil. If you haven't been over to thebusygardener.com, I'm selling this and some others, really low prices. I even have a promo. I don't remember exactly what it is. I'll put it in the description or make it pop up right here. And that's gonna get you some percentage off the already low prices in that Busy Gardener merch store. So be sure to check that out and some of the other fun designs that I've got over there. Something I had heard from a few nurseries that I'd visited was that this year, this 2020, many people are gardening for the first time. And I think that's awesome. I mean, aside from the health benefits of being around fruit trees and things like that, they will talk about just having a semblance of being able to work on something, get grounded by working with the earth and with physical things that require your attention, so that way you're not as stuck in your head, because it's so easy to do that when we're not kind of building things. And so this kind of ends up being a very rewarding thing that lots of people are enjoying. In fact, as I've talked to like Corona Tool, they said this year has been unbelievable for them because so many people are getting into gardening for the first time. And I think that's just terrific. The first thing you're gonna need, no matter what, if you're talking absolute basics when you plant a fruit tree, you're gonna need something, and that is a pair of pruning shears. Pruning shears are gonna enable you to train the tree in the direction that you want. If you watched my pruning videos or watched other pruning videos, you know that a good set of pruning shears that are clean and sharp are really crucial in establishing the overall size and shape of the tree that you want. You want your fruit tree to look nice, but also more importantly, to be productive. And there are things that each tree kind of needs in order to do that. So what I recommend for somebody who's just getting their first fruit tree, or if you're setting somebody up with kind of a starter pack, that's what we're gonna go through. I'm gonna talk through, this is the probably number one thing that you ought to get for yourself or loved one. Now, this is a set of Corona shears. I'll link to these. These are great, very great utility shears. They've got this great little latch that I like a lot. Pretty nice feeling, sharp. If you want something that is a bit even more ergonomic, which is kind of like the first class of pruning shears, you're gonna want these Felcos. And these Felcos are really terrific. For my hand, I've got pretty big hands, and so if you're doing a ton of cuts, or if you anticipate that you're going to plant a bunch of trees, then you may want to go with a design that's like a Felco, although these regular Corona pruning shears are terrific as well. These are a bit of a value compared to these. Very well made, but about half the price as this Felco. So, but pruning shears, whether you go Corona or Felco, you want to get a nice set of pruning shears. So I'll link to all of this stuff. In fact, I'll even do a link where it'll have kind of just a pack of all the things that I'm going to talk about today. I'll put a link to that list and you can go to that. And when you buy through that link, whether you buy the things that I've listed or anything else, then I get a small, couple of percent from Amazon, help support the channel. So pruning shears, if you want to upgrade your purchase, then get something like this little leather scabbard. And this is nice to stick on your on your belt. This is not necessary. This is just if you're wanting to upgrade it. But sometimes you've got your pruning shears and you're either sticking them in your pocket and they fall out, or you're setting them on the ground somewhere and then you forget about them and then they get rained on and then they get rusted. And you don't want rusted pruning shears. You don't want rained on pruning shears. You don't want shears that are lost underneath your mulch. So you might want to go for something like that. Another thing that you'll find really quickly is that your trees are living organisms, and every living organism needs some type of fuel, some type of nourishment and food. You want to get something that is going to enable you to feed your trees. I just happen to have this in my hand because it was right here. I use Osmocote. I use Grow Power 3-12-12, their Flower and Bloom. I use the wonderful Ivy Organics fertilizer, or it's totally organic fertilizer, which helps us not only feed the trees, but to support the healthy growth of all of those beneficial bacteria and mycorrhizae and all of that stuff. So fertilizing your trees is crucial. Every gardener who's getting any sort of success, whether with fruit trees or with vegetables, is feeding their trees in some sort of form. To a beginner, it feels very misunderstood, but all you need to do is get one and follow the instructions, and it'll tell you how much to put. There's usually a scoop in a lot of these too. And so, or they'll tell you exactly how many tablespoons to use or whatever. So don't let that stop you. Your tree and your plant wants food. Feed them. Put on your chef's hat and come out with an apron and a spatula and just say, all right, clang a little dinner bell. I don't know. Feed your trees. They will respond. I've seen it. It's blown my mind what a difference feeding trees and other plants makes. Good high quality fertilizer. Do it. Hey, will you take a moment as we're going through this list of stuff and hit that subscribe button? Sure be great to have you aboard if you feel like this channel has earned it. If not, that's okay too. All right, let's get back to the list. Okay. So the final thing that I think is important and that you ought to consider for your first fruit tree is this. Ivy Organics 3-in-1 Plant Guard. This stuff, it's kind of funny. In fact, I'll just show you this tree right here. You notice this Honeycrisp apple has some what looks like white paint on it. And this is a really important thing to do to protect your tree. When it's young, when it's exposed, because sunburn, it turns out, on trees can totally damage them and set them up for failure and have them go downhill really fast. I've done other videos on the benefits and necessity of being able to whitewash your trees, whether you're using a great product like Ivy Organics 3-in-1 Plant Guard or using interior latex paint in a 50-50 water to paint ratio. You want to make sure that you are applying this to especially your young trees. When you first plant a tree, that tree has often been taken out of a nursery where it's had a bunch of other trees to the sides of it that have been shading it. Now it's out there in the open. And you want your tree to not suffer and have poor results. And you're not going to know why. And it's going to be because in some cases your tree gets sunburned or sun stressed. Think of this. Your new tree, aside from having been shaded and sheltered its whole life, is now a lot younger. It's not as established as a more mature tree that has a thicker bark layer that can withstand some of the sun's rays and develop some of that. And so it's kind of like putting sunscreen on a tree. It sounds like a funny thing to do, but think of this. Your young tree is almost like, think of a baby's skin versus like a tough construction worker's skin. A baby's skin is delicate and smooth, and a tough construction worker has worked out in the sun. He can take it. And that's what your older trees are, the big construction workers. But that young tree needs to be nurtured. And so for your first tree, intro to fruit tree stuff, I really recommend using something like this. Okay, you might be wondering what you're supposed to do with all of this stuff that I've recommended. And I've got videos on kind of each of these topics. I've got videos on pruning and feeding and whitewashing. And so there's a wealth of information on this channel and other channels on how to actually use these things. But I think these are worth the buy. Look, it's not that much. Small. 3 things. 3 things. You can do 3 things. 3 things to get a fruit tree to work. Just 3 small things can hold in one hand. Oh, you got to do it. So that's it. Kind of really basic for your first year. Now, second year, third year, there might be some other things, and there are other things, and I'm going to recommend those maybe in a future video. I'll have a separate list for that sort of thing. What do you get for your second year of trees in the ground? But this is kind of a really good starter pack. A good set of pruning shears, feeding that tree or those trees in some way to protect the trunk and the branches from sunburn and sun scald, which all of those things can really hamper the health of your tree. So what questions have you got? Do you think I missed anything on this list? If you do, make sure to tell me in the comments below. I'd love to get feedback, and maybe you can offer some suggestions, or maybe you've got questions about this. Go, hey, you mentioned that, but I didn't quite get what you meant. It's totally possible. If you watch this channel, sometimes I get a little tongue-tied. Hey, thanks for tuning into this episode of The Busy Gardener, where we talk through a list of things that help somebody new to fruit trees get off to a great start. And whether you've got one tree that you're trying to plant for the first time and not kill and have give you fruit and work for what you want, or 500. Till next time, stay busy.